Hello and welcome to the interview series. My next guest has studied over 50 different languages and is a special guest at LangFest coming up is Richard Simcott.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
It's a
Yeah.
pleasure. So tell us, how did it all begin? Obviously, you had some interest for languages. I'm guessing early in life, but tell me your story.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in languages, even as a young child. I was particularly drawn to different accents and the way people spoke in my own country, and also languages that I heard when I was on holiday and languages spoken around me as well, where I grew up. So there's always been that interest in trying to imitate different ways of speaking and communicating in different ways, using different words and different grammar. It's always been a fun hobby of mine. So I think that's really how I got going with languages and sort of developed from there, really.
You learned some languages early, but at one point did it become a passion to continuously learning other languages?
So as far back as I can remember, I've always bought different language books. Naturally, like everyone else, I had languages at school, and I
Right.
had other languages spoken around me. So there was always a kind of an influence from outside. But I always just loved languages. So when I say that I got interested in languages and it grew from there, I was very, very interested in language, and so it was really quite intense, even from a young age, that I wanted to learn more and more. To the point that when I was looking for degree courses at university, I was looking for ones that I could study at least three languages from beginning to end. And I was
Wow.
fortunate to find a course where I could do four languages for my official degree, and then I was able to sit in on another degree and do a further two. And then I was doing additional languages on the side just as a hobby. So it's really quite steadily through my life has been a long history with many different languages, not just sort of the one or two from school that you'd have. I've just constantly studied more and more and more. And I'd probably say that I've studied over 50 languages to date.
Wow.
Because when you refer back to the 16, that was a video I sort of made just to sort of go through different levels I was at that stage with 16 of the languages that I'd studied until then, and just to kind of give an idea and to appeal to people who had a similar kind of interest as me to in languages, and to sort of connect with them, and to show people that speaking lots of languages doesn't mean that you need to master all of them at every stage. You can learn and still be on in the learning process for a number of them. So I deliberately picked languages that were weaker for me at that point, and added them into the video to make it more interesting.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, we'll post the said video in our link below when this video gets posted, but it sure didn't appear to me as a viewer, because I've seen that video, that you were weak in any of them. But in
Mm-hmm.
any case, well done. I think you're probably living proof that in some matter it doesn't matter how fluent you are, as long as like the passion and the motivation continues. Is it possible to learn more than one? And I'm guessing when you know more, it's easier, but you definitely
Yeah.
can learn more than one at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of advocate learning more than one language if that's what you want to do, and if you really feel the need to do that. What I would also say is I'd sort of preface it and just suggest that if anybody tries it and finds that it's not a manageable thing for them to do, to definitely consider doing one at a time.
Right.
Some people find that easier. There's no problem in doing that, and I think for some people it does work better. For me personally, I tend to do a completely new language, maybe a language that's unrelated, and I'll try and do something that's an easier goal for me. What I find for myself, in my own personal language journey, is that if I study a language that's quite simple for me to get to know, one maybe that I already understand because of other languages I speak, or simply because I've studied the languages, so getting to know the language and be able to speak it actively isn't as big a challenge for me, then I would often do that so that I always get that feeling and that buzz of being able to communicate in a new language whilst I'm tackling the more difficult language or the more on the side.
Certainly been working for you, and I have to say you've been an inspiration to many polyglots, well, around the world and here in Montreal that you'll meet.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting people in Montreal. Thank you very much for your nice compliments. That's I appreciate it. If I could serve to be sort of someone, an example of someone that people can look at as we're not alone in this language learning craze, then my job's done. I'm very happy.
Not only do you speak a lot of languages, but you do maintain a blog, you have videos. I guess my question is more like, how did you realize that not only did you want to learn more about languages, but teach others to follow a similar path?
Well, I mean, quite simply, in the very beginning, it was more to reach out to other people. So I didn't know to what degree that would sort of change the game of language learning and the language learning communities online. I had a few clear goals that I wanted to achieve with making my first video, then subsequent videos from that. One was to connect with other people who love languages and love language generally. The other reason was to serve as an example of somebody who's been through that process a number of times, knowing that I grew up kind of on my own, not knowing anyone else who loved languages or language as much as I do. And I wanted to show that as an example. So those were two reasons. Then there was a kind of a more fun reason in that, many people who have been through this process, even with a few languages, they'll be known in their sort of circles of families and friends as the one that speaks all the languages, and I was definitely no exception to that. And so growing up, I was kind of rolled out as a party piece at events or at parties or in front of friends or family. Say which language you're learning now. Say something in each of the languages, and it was kind of a fun thing to do. And I thought, okay, well, making this video actually helps to sort of stop me feeling like a performing monkey, in person as much, and it just gives them something they can instantly share and show to their family and friends, because they say, oh, I wish I could introduce you to such and such a person, because they would love to hear you speaking these languages. And so it was kind of that was kind of a third, less important for me personally, but it's kind of more of an answer to people's requests to hear a sort of a display of some of the languages I speak.
Right.
I was definitely on my own for a number of years until I went to university, and I made a couple of friends that were very enthused and certainly very motivated to learn more languages. But surprisingly, actually, there were quite a number of people doing foreign language degrees that I met that just wanted to do those one or two languages that they were studying and nothing more. And they were motivated by very different reasons. Some of them because they like literature of a certain country or the culture of a certain country. Some of them because they just like that one language or those two languages. But still, I was a minority at university, and I definitely perceived that even the university lecturers couldn't really always fully understand or appreciate the desire to learn that many languages to degree level and to take a degree in what I did, which is called combined languages. And it was kind of an oddball degree to do, I guess. I mean, even in Europe, I mean, there are some countries where multilingualism is more run of the mill. Countries like Luxembourg, even in Skopje where I live, you've got people who speak Serbian, speak Macedonian, Albanian, Turkish, and then they may know another language as well on top of that, maybe German or something else.
Right.
But it's, the sort of, I think the diverse mix of languages that I've studied and maybe other polyglots that you might speak to that have covered is, and this is where I think a polyglot and a multilingual differ, in that a multilingual person will learn languages that they need directly or impact their lives directly. Whereas a polyglot is somebody, to my mind, who would go out and learn languages that they don't necessarily need. Yeah, I think that, there's definitely a sort of there is a calling for a lot of people in the world to learn languages that are of historical significance to the countries they're from or countries their ancestors are from. And you see this. I mean, you get a number of people from North America come over to Ireland to learn Irish,
Right.
or learn Gaelic in Scotland, and you certainly do see these people coming over and doing this, and there is a kind of a different connection there. So I agree, there are totally different motivations for each language choice, and certainly, okay, I mean, as I say, a polyglot would be someone for me that learns languages they don't necessarily need to learn. There may be caveats for there. I mean, it's not a hard and fast rule, and I certainly don't stand by that 100% and would not argue in court that has to be the reason that someone with a polyglot.
Well, there's usually some reason, but it might not be as common as what we'd hear for someone who has more passion, as you described earlier. I suppose you talked about it yourself. You got involved into those polyglot gatherings 4 years ago. In Montreal, we were changing a bit the team to not have a polyglot. I suppose the term was a little more unknown over here of what a polyglot actually was, and if you needed to be one or not to attend the Polyglot Conference. So we're deciding to blend it in with the festival culture of Montreal and call it the Montreal Language Festival, or LangFest for short. But just ask you how you got started in those conference gathering and organizing them and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's sure. I mean, I think that going this way for LangFest, I think is a good direction for the
Right.
event. Just to say that I think that it makes complete sense to me. So the very, very first one of these events that is sort of what I organised in Budapest, and that was 4 years ago. In fact, just this weekend, just gone, and I was talking to a number of people after I'd made the videos a few years on, and we'd met up together a couple of times with a few different people, and it was really clear that actually the next logical step was to actually get together in a room and to start talking about things that interested us all. So I was fortunate to get 140 people sign up and financially support and help with it. And basically, it was organised like a party that in a place I'd hired, and I hired a theatre in the centre of Budapest, and got lots of people come over from all over the world. People got together and came up with business ideas. Like we've seen the Add One Challenge arise from it. We've seen other partnerships evolve. We've seen the Polyglot Gathering grow out of it as well, which I'm very pleased to say, Judith Meyer started and built up in Berlin, and now is in Bratislava. And then from that as well, also the LangFest, as an extension of these sort of events. I'm just really, really pleased to see that the movement is growing, that there's more and more interest, that more people are getting involved. And certainly, from my point of view with the Polyglot Conference, I see the point that Polyglot does often bring up the questions. I named it Polyglot Conference simply because it was the first event of its kind. It grew out of the Polyglot community online. So it felt that the right word to choose for what I was trying to achieve. And now we've added the tagline for anyone who loves language, just to really clarify that this isn't just for polyglots, it isn't for language nerds, it isn't for any geeks, it's for everyone who loves language, whether you're learning your first language, whether you're learning your 31st language, it really doesn't matter. We welcome everyone, it's a very open environment, people are very welcoming, and I'm just pleased to see how it's grown and other events that have come off it as well.
What should a presentation from Richard Simcott and gets them?
Well, I'm hoping that people will find it entertaining. Hopefully,
That's
also
always fun.
hopefully it's also informative. And I often find, actually, for me personally, the question and answer sessions, enlightening and really get to the heart of what the people watching, want to ask me directly. I think, a new event for me and a new presentation and a new audience. There's always that sort of element of how is it going to go and how are people going to respond, and I look forward to those challenges and to those sort of questions and to the direction it can take me in. So years ago I did a TV show in Canada for Global TV, and it was about polyglots.
Okay.
And I did that with Tim Donor in New York, and it was shown on TV in Canada. Steve Kaufman appeared in it, along with a few other people from the online community, and it was really quite interesting. They were looking at the neuroscience behind the phenomenon, and also the social media, the way that's changed the game and the way it's brought us together as a community. And I really relished that opportunity and appreciated the sort of the reactions from that. And certainly, the Canadian film crew were really, really nice, and
Good.
I look forward to being in Canada again. Actually, straight after we did the shooting, I did a trip around Quebec. So I went to Montreal and I went to Quebec City, and I also went to Niagara Falls, and just loved it. I found Canadians to be very warm and very welcoming, and I look forward to that same reception again in the summer.
Wonderful. Very last question to conclude this is what's in the future? I know you're coming to LangFest, but other than that, is there any new language you're learning that you want to announce exclusively?
So at the moment, it's so my kind of on the side language for this kind of easy languages is Slovak, and I'm doing that for the Polyglot gathering in Bratislava. I've been going through a course for that, reading it almost like a book, really, because I've studied Czech and I've studied Polish and I've studied a number of other Slavic languages, so it's kind of noticing the differences in Slovak compared to the other languages I've learned. And then the other sort of thing I've got going on at the moment is Indonesian, because I'm going to Indonesia for a month, and I want to sort of learn the language and hopefully learn to communicate in Indonesian to a fair degree to be able to get by while I'm there. And it's a language that I know I will get to use at these events, the Polyglot events, moving forward, because Indonesians or Indonesian speakers are always represented. So yeah, there's that. And then of course for Canada itself, hopefully I'll pick up some Quebecois. That would be fantastic. And the kind of the final sort of project for me is obviously brushing up my Icelandic ready for the Polyglot Conference at the end of October as well.
Oh, yes, that's true. Richard Simcott, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today. And we'll looking very forward to seeing you in August at LangFest.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching this video. Remember that you can register for the Montreal Language Festival on the website down below, and you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a nice day.